Hey guys, we are one-on-one in Chiefs Kingdom. We're going live Red Friday, Super Bowl edition from Charlie Hustle, baby. Thanks for letting us use the studios today. I have a special guest in studio joining us from Los Angeles, California. Home field advantage for us with this one. He's from Tipton, Missouri. Huge advocate for Kansas City, for Children's Mercy Hospital, Big Slick. Champ kind.
Here, I'm all about having fun. Get a couple cocktails in me, start a fire in someone's kitchen, then sit down and watch the Chiefs win. Whammy! But when I'm not doing that, I'm hanging out at CQ, not HQ. That's Colquitt, where there's no quit, but there's plenty of hang time.
Before hang time with Colquitt, we have Mike and Jeff before a little one-on-one.
Hey, Mike and Jeff.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
Chiefs Kingdom, what is up? We are back, Super Bowl edition, one-on-one, a KC Sports Network podcast. I am fired up. We are almost there. The big game is right upon us. Big Jeff, how you feeling, man?
I'm pumped up. Excuse the language.
No,
I don't want to be explicit on this podcast right now, but I'm so excited, man. Media night's going on right now. The buzz is building. We're how many days away? When this airs, we're going to be 3 days away.
3 days away
until kickoff for another Super Bowl, and this is a big one, man.
3 times, 4 years.
I wish I was out there, man. This is one of those times like you wish you were strapping up.
Jeff, I was talking to a friend about it today, thinking, man, why did I retire? Why did I retire? Not that I ever could have made it this long.
Your body.
Like, damn, I should have just rode the bus till the wheels fall off. We have so many things to get into. We have a really special episode today. Let's start with some of the more big picture stuff, brother. One thing that I've found that's been so cool to watch is the Kelsey family.
Yes.
So when you see, brothers playing against each other in the Super Bowl, I just think about what that must be like for their parents. And this isn't new. I mean, they've been to the Super Bowl multiple times.
Yeah.
They both have rings, but now to be there at the same time, what do you think it feels like for their parents? I mean, you could see the videos of the interviews they're doing.
I couldn't imagine what that feels like. It's never happened before, so it's a new feeling. I know they're really proud. I would be ecstatic for both of my children if I were ever in that position. I mean, the likelihood of you having 2 sons that play Division I football is like hitting the lottery, and then they both go to the NFL and both separately have Hall of Fame careers, and then both separately get Super Bowls, and then they meet up in a Super Bowl versus each other. Like, what is that? What are the odds of that? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I couldn't explain it. It's one of those things. They were destined for it. I mean, they were born to do this, and I'm happy that we're able to see this play out.
Jeff, if my boys did what the Kels brothers did, as a parent, I'd walk around with my balls out. I wouldn't give a shit. I don't give a damn. I mean, like, you see what they did? You can't tell me anything. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. And what I think is so cool. Again, I did that. Yeah, you see that? What I think is so cool about it too, just looking at it from a parent's perspective, having kids, Jason and Travis are really different, right? They're really unique. And being a parent, it's hard to motivate and teach and cultivate and grow children individually. But when you have 2 separate blueprints, right? You have 2 separate ways of doing things, 2 separate ways of motivate. I mean, 2 totally different people. To have a sort of, again, a blueprint or a system of structure in that house that, these kids came up and were able, like you said, do all the things that they've done, and yet be such different. I mean, their parenting styles had to be different. Yeah, I don't know. This is sort of a weird tangent, but I just look at it as a parent like, damn, I hope I can pull that off. You know what I mean? Like, just amazing.
That's a testament to their parents. I mean, obviously they did a wonderful job. I couldn't imagine raising, I don't know Jason that well, but I couldn't imagine raising a baby Travis. I could not imagine that, man. The shenanigans as an adult. Could you imagine a child version of he's still a child, but could you imagine a child version of Travis? That would have been crazy, man. Shout out to his parents for getting them together and leading them down the right path. They did a wonderful job with both of them.
How many times do you think his parents said, "Man, I wish you were more like Jason"? Like, why can't you be like your older brother?
Why can't you be like Jason?
Oh man,
that's so funny, man.
The storyline is so cool. So that one is really awesome. And then there's the Andy Reid storyline.
Yeah.
Obviously coming from Philly, all the things he did there. Now in Kansas City, doing all those things in KC. Just an incredible human being. And you saw the way he was treated by everybody at media night when he showed up and they announced him and everybody was cheering. And he's just an incredibly special human being. And again, somebody that, man, I hope, like, I look at people like that and I think, damn, I wish I could be that great at something. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could be that like he'll be able to finish his life and look back and say, man, I was 1 in a trillion.
He did it.
Just unbelievable.
He had 2 Hall of Fame coaching careers.
2.
If he was done at Philly, he probably would have been a Hall of Famer. If he just was the Kansas City head coach, Hall of Fame career. So to have 2 separate Hall of Fame careers as a coach is amazing. 14 years in Philly, everybody knows what he did there and how it ended. Just for him to come to Kansas City and be himself, but also reinvent the wheel in a sense. He did a lot of new things. He has his foundation, a lot of new things in Kansas City, and he changed the complete culture. I mean, I was there before he came. To take this team and create this environment, this culture, this structure that he has, to constantly be in the running. Even before Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback, we were consistently winning, and then Pat comes and he just takes us to a whole nother level. Now we're competing for championships every year.
Right.
So it's just amazing, man.
And you know what? I was thinking about that too. And somebody could say, well, I don't even want to say it because it's stupid. But if you look at who's won the Super Bowl, who's made it to the top from 2000 till now, maybe you had, I think that with the Ravens win in 2000 where they had Dilfer, so they didn't really have a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But outside of that, every year it's either been Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Rodgers, Mahomes. I mean, you have to have a quarterback to win. It doesn't matter how great of a coach you are. In this league, if you don't have a good quarterback, you just ain't going to get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's so it's no knock on Andy Reid to say, oh, well, he has Pat Mahomes. Like,
no, man.
He did it. He did it everywhere.
He's proven it year in and year out. And I know he will never take the credit because it's a collective group effort. It always has been and always will be. But look at the roster now. Even this roster heading into the Super Bowl is totally different than the roster back in 2020.
Right.
Like this is a totally different group. That talks about leadership. I mean, you got the GM, you got Brett Veach doing a wonderful job, bringing in the right personnel. But these coaches being able to work with these guys.
Right.
And molding them and placing them within the structure and keeping them, on the right track. That is amazing. And that's all coaching.
Right.
There's tons of teams with a ton of talent year in and year out that don't win shit.
Right. Well, look at you talked about your group in 2012. Yeah. I mean, I always talk about going in there and it was like, the Pro Bowlers all over the place. I mean, you had, everybody on defense, DJ, EB, Justin, Tamba. It's all about culture. I mean, how many times Dallas has been full of Pro Bowlers for years? They don't ever do shit. You know what I mean?
It's about leadership, man. And that's any organization. It doesn't matter if it's football or not. It's about leadership. It's about culture. And Andy Reid, he went from Philly, came to Kansas City. What came with him was that culture, that work ethic, that tenacity. His leadership permeated throughout the entire organization.
Right.
And you see the benefits of it. Now, having great players helps.
Right.
But you can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
You got to have coaching. Coaching is the most important thing on the professional level in sports, in my opinion, because all of us are talented. All of us are great.
Right.
The difference is, can I get the best out of this guy? Can I make him better? Because that team has a guy that's just like him.
Right.
That they just drafted, or a guy that just signed a free agency.
Right.
What am I going to do as a leader to get the best out of this guy? How am I going to motivate a guy that's making $100 million, or a rookie who just came in, he's spinning all over the place? Like, what can I do to teach him?
Right.
And that's what the great ones do, and Andy Reid is a great one.
And, you try to analyze a guy like that and you say, okay, how can I learn and grow? How can I take these traits? And it's one of those things where it's weird because it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is that makes him so. I mean, obviously we talk about all the things that he does, but anybody can go in there and do that. But there's just something special about Andy Reid. Yeah. And I'll tell you, you know how the first time I realized this, in the league, you call coaches by their first name. Yeah. They called Rex. I mean, you just you call coaches by the first name. But when I first got to Kansas City, I remember I called Andy Reid at practice one time. I called him Andy, and instead of Coach Reid, and it just, as it came out, I was just like, nope, that's not the right word for him. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't work with him. He's on another level. This is a different level. And regardless of it being sort of a pro atmosphere where everybody uses their first name, nope, he deserves that respect. Not that I was trying to be disrespectful, but he's on such another level. It's no, you call him by his first, you call him by Coach Reid. You don't call him Andy, you know what I mean? So it's just so cool. I know you say the same thing, very lucky to be a part of that team and that organization and spend time with Andy Reid. I mean, I just grateful for it. Last thing before we go to break, brother, just quickly, one thing that gets frustrating with the Super Bowl is you have 2 weeks of heavy, hardcore media coverage, and after about 5 or 6 days, there are only so many storylines. And then you start getting this crackpot shit that comes out. That's just people just trying to drum up stories because you got this big game and you're trying to keep attention. So one thing that I was just told, I didn't hear it, but I guess the rumor on the street is that Hurts is a better quarterback than Mahomes now. I guess that's the new hot take. I don't know. What do you think about media week? Just talk to me about it in general. I mean, it starts to get behind. It's all right.
I think it's a fun week. Because this is probably the only week in football where you go into the week and a lot of the questions at the Super Bowl don't really have much to do about the game. They're talking about guys, what they like to do off the field.
Yeah, it's cool.
Some fun personal stuff, not any deep dives or anything like that. But then, like you said, as it goes on and you run out of questions, you start to dig, then you get the troll takes.
Right.
And I saw that take on Twitter. It was I don't know if he's a beat writer. He has a podcast. He's a Philly guy. And he said that Jalen Hurts he checks all the boxes. He has all the intangibles. And if you're building a quarterback, you want him to be like Jalen Hurts and not Patrick Mahomes. Not to say Patrick isn't great, but Jalen's the ideal quarterback, which I totally disagree with.
I don't understand these
things. I mean, Patrick has done it. I mean, and I heard a lot of people debating it. Is Patrick Mahomes already a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
I would say yes. If you compare his career to a guy like Troy Aikman, who has a gold jacket,
right?
He's had a better career already in 5 years of playing the quarterback position in the National Football League. And there's only going to be more added to it. So yes, Patrick is a Hall of Famer. He's also something that's never been seen in this league before.
Right.
So I know he's probably Patrick isn't a quarterback; he's an alien. So if that were your take, I would buy that more than the other take.
Right.
Because Patrick is out of this world. He does things that hasn't been done to this position before, while remaining humble.
Right. It's so cool.
It's amazing to see. His legacy is he's going to continue to build on it, but his legacy as it stands right now is one for the ages. He's revitalized the Kansas City community. With Chiefs football, this is a football town. Right, I mean, this is the golden age. We're able to see the Chiefs play in the Arrowhead Invitational every year.
Right.
every single year when we
I can't wait to get that T-shirt. We gotta get
that T-shirt when we host the AFC title game, consistently competing for Super Bowls. And this is a big one for him. I mean, you can't run, you can't hide from it. I know he's a competitor. It's in his head somewhere. He's not going to let it, drown his thoughts. But this is a big game for him. He has to win this one. I mean, this is one that he should win. He's the better quarterback. I know on paper Philly does have a better team, but this is a true 1-2 matchup. Philly's probably number one on paper, and then I think Kansas City is 2.
Right.
It's not a really big gap, but we got Patrick Mahomes. So
we got Patrick Mahomes.
I would put every dollar that I have in my bank account right now and put it on the Chiefs.
Are you ready for the biggest Sunday in sports? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, has all the Super Bowl action you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boosts.
Check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see what prop bet will be boosted. I have been loving these Super Bowl 57 prop bets. I've got a lot of them. Go check out the Octopus bet. I've got some money on that one. Go put some down on that. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. New customers can bet just $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code KCSN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
And we have playoff experience, and that goes along. I mean, we have guys who have, like you said, 5 times in a row be an AFC championship. We have 3 out of the past 4 years in the Super Bowl. Guys know what they're doing here. The veterans can get the rookies, and that goes a long way in these games because these are big games. And I do my one hot take, circling back real quickly to Pat Mahomes and where he's at as a quarterback. I think it's harder nowadays to be a top-level player in the NFL, let alone a quarterback, than it was back with Troy Aikman and those guys. Because these guys have about 15 seconds to learn a playbook and about 7 padded practices before the bullets start flying and everything gets live. Whereas back in the day, OTAs was like training camp. Training camp was like 50 practices. It's like you just don't – to come into the league now and do what he's done.
It's tough. I mean, but he does a good job of getting the guys together in the offseason. He's committed to the game.
Right.
So he kind of gets an advantage from that standpoint. But before we move on, I wanted to give Hurts his flowers because I know we just talked about Pat. Hurts is an unbelievable quarterback.
Oh, yeah. No, and I hope I didn't come across
No, I just wanted to make sure I articulated that. And both of these guys, if you wanted your son to be like someone, you want to be like Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts.
Right, no doubt.
I mean,
no doubt.
The way that they carry themselves on and off the field.
That's a fantastic
the leadership that they have. I mean, with Jalen's whole situation at Alabama when he was benched in the national championship, stood up, cheered for his team. I know he was hurting deep down, but he put the team before himself in that situation, came back, sat behind Tua, got an opportunity to transfer, went to Oklahoma, played really well, almost won a Heisman, got drafted. There's a situation in Philly where reports are coming out, and they're true. There's some people in that organization that didn't want to draft him.
Mm.
When you're in a building and you know that some people in the front office or the coach doesn't want you, that can mentally screw you up. But for him to have the mental fortitude to deal with what he dealt with in college, to bounce back and then come in the league and feel that pressure that there's people in the building that don't want him, and then finally get an opportunity and get better year in and year out, and then get to the Super Bowl. Shout out to Jalen. You're doing a good job.
Man, Jeff, that was great. Thank you. Yeah, those are great points. And he certainly deserves his due, and I hope it didn't come across like us.
No.
Right.
I just wanted to know, let Philly know, because you know they have some sensitive fans up there. Really good cheesesteak, but sensitive fans. Let them know that we're not shitting on that boy Jalen. He's a good quarterback. We like him. He's really good.
Yeah, that's great, Big Jeff. And listen, we're going to get into some keys to the game for this Super Bowl. But before we do that, we have a special segment. We are kicking off a new show, Hang Time with Dustin Colquitt. So we're going to kick it to him. He has a special guest. We hope you all enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, Mike, Jeff. Appreciate it. We have a huge guest today on Hang Time with Colquitt, one of my very best buds. He also has 5 kids. You guys know him as David Koechner, champ, kind. He is all over this country now, making people smile and look about and say, we love this place. Who doesn't love to smile? Who doesn't love to laugh? David Koechner always delivers. Buddy, it's good to see your face.
Good to see you. And the Chiefs are headed to the Super Bowl. Whammy!
Oh, man, again. And we kept in touch. Oh, love it. And you got to love it. Look at the Chiefs. It's been an exciting season. We got to catch up briefly yesterday. You are busy, my friend. I want to hear everything that you've got going on right now.
Both of us. You said this before. We said this before. The first time we met, we both already had 5 kids.
Right.
And we were both like, oh, I need to go talk to that guy.
Yeah, I have to. I was like, we have more bars and more places. We got every age group all the way through.
I know.
Sophomore in college. What is it? What's the oldest?
The oldest is out of college. He's 20.
Out of college.
The youngest is 12.
12. And so then I got the sophomore in high school down to 9. We got it covered, baby.
You know,
2 AAU basketball teams.
Yeah, it's a thick malt all the way through there. Well, yeah, I mean, if you meet another dad with 5 kids, like, oh, okay, Yeah, you get me. Hey, oh, we just look at each other with vacant eyes. How are you? How's it going?
Oh, we're hungry and thirsty to see each other and just say, hey, how do you do this? How do I do this? Oh, that's a great idea. I'm writing that down, right? So we're currently, you know this place well, Dave. We're at Jerry Hustle, KC Sports Network. My friends over at KC Sports Network. We're doing a special rollout for the Super Bowl Red Friday edition, and super pumped to have you on. There's not another sportscaster in this country that I'd rather have on than you right now.
A fake sportscaster who's not good at his job at the fictional station he works at.
And we're happy to have you. We're lucky to have you. You've raised millions and millions and millions of dollars for Children's Mercy Hospital down through the years. Always been involved in that. Hometown, Tipton, Missouri. You honor all of Kansas City's colors, good, bad, and different. And we've had a lot of good the last 5 years hosting that AFC championship game, right?
You know, it was interesting. I thought to myself, wow, we're gonna be the team that people kind of go, oh, them again. And you could tell it. You could tell back then, 5 years ago, like, oh, this is going to be happening for a while. And here we are.
I see that as Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. Remember the album cover kind of like that? I see Patrick and Kelsey on that, and they're like, oh, man, not these guys. They're still alive.
Yeah.
And we got more and more time for that. I'm super excited about their chances. I really love, I think the biggest headliner of this game is the Kelsey Bowl, right? It's fun. It's fun watching the brothers. They both do a great job on the radio. We got to listen to both of their parents for that 2-hour plus long podcast yesterday. And I think as fathers, the coolest thing that I got to hear Ed say the other day was he was asked why he took a second job during the holidays, because there was always like that next gadget or gizmo coming out, and he wanted the boys to have it. But he said, and this will cut you to your heart, is they said, why did you do it? Why'd you take the extra job? And he said, because I was crazy about those two boys.
Wow.
I was driving back from Omaha and I lost it. Like I couldn't, I even texted Travis. He texted me back. I was like, dude, that was unreal. He said, every father, every kid felt that. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah, that's really sweet. And you know what? And he still is. He still is. Yeah. So I can't imagine, how do the parents deal with the question? Who are you going to root for? Did they talk about that at all?
She did a little bit. She touched, and I think the cool part about that is she said, I'm going for the offenses. And that makes sense, right? She's going for both offenses.
Well, that's true.
She wants a huge score. It's better than my mom and dad. I remember she would come. My mom had the split jersey. We always, proud her, the first lady of fourth down, which we kind of laugh. She was the Broncos Chiefs thing, and she goes, I just want to watch people punt. Like that's it. I'm going for the punters today. And so, which was funny. Our job, me and Britton, we always say, if we can keep people in their stands, because most people, we didn't get the third down, I'm going to get a beer, right? I'm going to get a Boulevard. But if they just stay for that fourth down, kind of watch that bomb, we did our job, right?
There you go. Get them out of the jam.
So I would like to hear now, for KC Sports Network, I appreciate Mike and Jeff, all the work they're doing kind of behind the scenes. I want to hear, growing up in Tipton, Missouri, obviously a huge Chiefs fan, in and out of Kansas City, all over the country doing stuff. This has got to be a fun time for you to meet Chiefs fans on the road. What would you say is your favorite moment as a Chiefs fan, just personally?
That's tough. Well, I have to go back to the beginning, I guess, because it's what made me. So I was 10 years old, and it was Christmas Day, right? The Miami game, Chiefs Miami. And I was in my my grandmother's living room, and my cousins from Stillwell, Kansas, right outside of Kansas City, which I think has now been absorbed, were watching the Chiefs game. And, I'm from back in that day, there was 3 channels, and the NFL wasn't as huge as it is today. And there was my older cousins all invested in this game. And of course, you want to be part of that emotionally. You want to be bonded with the rest of your family. I remember watching that with at the time, the longest game in NFL history. And that's when I became a Chiefs fan. So I guess I go back to that, because from there is when I, became invested in the Chiefs. I had a poster of Willie Lanier on my wall as a kid. I wish I had kept that. It was tattered because, I grew up with 6 kids, and you and I growing up now with 5 of our own. I grew up with 6 kids, so we'd switch rooms every couple of years just to keep it fresh. So that poster got tattered, and you'd put it up there with masking tape, right? And it get more and more tattered. Over the years, you don't think like, oh no, this is a big part of your life. Keep this poster, kid. Because this is before, now my kids, if they love a poster, they put it in a cheap frame, but at least still it's a frame. When I was a kid, it's masking tape.
Right. Yeah. And I have a similar story. I remember me and my brother would go back and forth. I remember I had a Jerry Rice and Steve Young poster. And I feel like when we would switch rooms or clean or mess up, just yank that stuff down. But my mom would either yank it down, dad would yank it down, and we had to find kind of another way to update our rooms. And I think, one, you were at a very impressionable age.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of people, like from the outside looking in, if you're not in Chiefs Kingdom and you haven't had those tentacles wrapped around your heart, and been through the parking lots and smelled that barbecue and watched Philip Rivers from across the sidelines, but on the Jumbotron, say, worst day ever. I mean, that really kind of makes you appreciate that fairy tale, that story tale, just that it's a religion, right? Chiefs football has become an absolute religion for the last 50 years, since the first Super Bowl. Then the second Super Bowl. Now we are absolutely, we're watching the best show on turf, like Dick Vermeil's old Rams team type-esque stuff on steroids. Maybe that's a baseball term. I mean, that's what we get to see. So it's so much fun.
You can mix the metaphors.
So David, we are talking about Chiefs Kingdom, Arrowhead Stadium, hallowed ground. Think about the guys of old. I love wearing some of this old Charlie Hustle gear. At that young, impressionable age, there's a lot more to it. Everybody's prepping barbecue, prepping food. It's a religion. You're getting your Boulevard beer. You're doing the Bud Light. It's a thing, right? I mean, if you don't do the tailgating, like if Broncos fans, Raiders fans, anybody comes to Arrowhead, they're like, God, I wish we did things like that, right? So as your story picks up, you're walking through. Take me through the first time you walk through, smell that barbecue, and you're going to Arrowhead Stadium. It's unreal, right?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, most fans don't visit a bunch of different stadiums. You just assume it all must be like this. And to hear other fans comment like, oh my gosh, this is magical. This is normal. This is no way it should be. But the beautiful thing too is it doesn't change. It doesn't wax and wane with whatever's going on in the field. There's still all that support. It's part of, you're part of the community, right? You've got those twin stadiums right there. You drive by them, folks. Those stadiums were built, I think, in 1970. I'm pretty sure I remember driving by there as a kid, because I'm from a small town in Missouri. We had cousins up there, so we'd drive by when those stadiums were being built, which was a marvel at the time. And I think at all the Kansas City experience of driving by there, watching it being built, this is part of me. This is part of my hometown, my community. This represents who I am. This is the face to the world of our hometown. And then the people, just one by one or whatever, decide to participate on that level with a level of pride in whatever they're cooked. That it's not just something you throw together. It's planned so far in advance. You know what menu it's going to be. You have to get there so early because you're smoking it. You're not just grilling.
It is. It's a lifestyle. And I will say, we don't take it for granted. you go to other places, and I loved parking in the players lot. I never got to really go through all the tailgating stuff just because, you got your headphones on, you're going in, you don't want to screw up all of that prep that all of those people did all week for you, right? And they, they're going to wear it. They love it so much, they're going to wear it every day to work. If you lose, they're going to be in a bad mood because they're part of the team. And then you win on Monday, Thursday, or Sunday, they're wearing that too. And they're proud that we travel well. It's been so much fun. One of my fondest memories over the every year we'd have the Big Slick winter. They always tagged you on it. You would come in, we'd take pictures and stuff. That's kind of how we got the in-between times from Big Slick to like see each other. And, you were always so dependable, bringing fans that package winner down on the field, giving that experience. And when you follow those people, those families that support Children's Mercy Hospital through that Big Slick or from Red Hot Night, I mean, they become like the next pinnacle of Chiefs fans. So much fun. I know one thing that I was super worried about, I wanted to kind of segue into this. We talked about our Chiefs opportunity this weekend in Arizona to bring back a third Lombardi trophy, which we're so pumped about them. And it reminds me of after we won the ceremony, we come back and we have a parade. And I talked about this on the news last night, and I got lost kind of ground level, just seeing all the people, people that either were being taught by my wife at St. Michael's or people that I've known for, 14 prior seasons saying, I told you so, knew we would make it. And then you look up and every skyscraper down every street in downtown Kansas City, Missouri, it's a Red Sea. Every window with somebody in it, like one of those car stuffed animals, but moving, just so excited. And then I remember afterwards, we get emails, Honey Badger, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and somehow I get attached to this thing and goes, we have a ring to design. And we're like, oh my gosh, we didn't even think about this, right? I mean, this is where it kind of gets good. And I remember we all got together, and Pat and Honey Badger, they're good at designing rings. I found out really quick. They have all these ideas. Kelsey too. His mom.
Ask you, wait, did you come in thinking I got some ideas, and then right away like, oh, I guess all their ideas are times 10 on mine?
Absolutely. I got the rug pulled out on me. I swallowed my pride on this. I think we all did, actually. And Kelsey's mom the other day on the podcast calls him a fashionista. Like he was like, I had a girl. She basically said, I had me a girl. I had Jason. I had Travis. And so I'm laughing. Well, he's helping design this ring too. And we come in with some decent ideas. And then Mark Donovan goes, all right, I need you guys to kind of pay attention. He pulls it up on the screen right here, like we have Charlie Hustle, and he shows us our design, and all of us literally go, continue. We have nothing on that. Like we didn't even have any. I mean, they have the way this thing is outlaid. I mean, it has the two Lombardis 50 years apart. I think the cool thing that they did, obviously with Lamar Hunt being on the bottom, but then they even went on the inside, if you can see that, and have all the deficits and our opponents that we came back from to win those games.
Wow.
So we immediately just said, we're going to let them take it from here. They're professionals at this, obviously.
Yeah. It became a Rosetta Stone. That's literally a history book in the ring.
Yeah. I think Paul called me after the Braves won. Remember, after the Super Bowl, I got sent to Atlanta, played there a half season, got COVID, released, went to Cleveland. But he called me when the Braves, I was at the World Series games. He called me, goes, dude, you're like the Blarney Stone. They need to ship you over to a city if they're wanting to have a championship. Anyway, I thought it was really funny. From the Super Bowl, what do you remember most? What is your story, the David Koechner story from our 2020 win in Miami? I know you're watching it with the kids. I know you. No, I was with them. They love it.
I was down. I was at the game.
Yes.
So tell you real quick. I'm trying to make this short. So the AFC Championship game, Houston, right?
Yes. Well, yes.
Or was it the one? 2 weeks.
KC.
Huh? In
The
KC.
Houston game is where we came 31 to
Yes.
3 or something like that.
So
Came back.
I had come to town to do some speaking event, and they gave me, I was beating a box. It was just me. And then I knew one of the Sherman kids, you know, the Shermans there in
KC
KC.
Sherman.
Yes. And he said, hey, come by our box. So we were down, you know, before the half. So I go visit their box. Suddenly we come back, right? And like, you can't leave. So I stayed for the rest of the game and we won. Now, cut to the Super Bowl. I saw Mr. Sherman in the cafeteria. You talk about a guy that's just as sweet and genuine as anybody you've ever met in your life. My brother and I, who I got a ticket for it on his birthday, 60th birthday, I called him and said, I'm taking you to the Super Bowl. We're there, you know, before the game in the stadium in one of the big food courts. Mr. Sherman comes to our table. Talk about a humble guy that's, you know, so successful. Just says hi, says, hey, man, come by the suite later. I'm like, okay. Think he's just being nice. But then, what are we, third quarter, and we're down, right? And I says to Mark, I said, we're going to the Sherman's box. And I swear to you, we started the comeback then. That was crazy. So for me, that's the fun part. I was in their box. I come in. I'm the Blarney Stone now. I come in, winning. Same thing for their box. Again, we start winning. That was crazy. That was a fun parallel. So I was when we won. It was crazy.
You have good vibes all over you, and I like that. And Sherman, that's a great family man. He did everything he possibly could between being a great fullback, a good teammate.
Oh no, the owner of the
now Royals. The now
Yes.
Royals. Gotcha.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So, and we spent time at his.
There's a fullback who's also a great guy.
I was getting super excited. That makes it even better because he invited us into his house prior to Big Slick this past year. And man, he is KC through and through. I love that. He's got the KC vibe going already. So yeah, I think they're in good hands. They're going to be on that upward trend as well, I believe.
Yeah,
Awesome.
great family. Yeah. So for me, that was an amazing thing. Like it happened twice, and you know, that was fun.
Well, we always appreciate, as a longtime player there, I always appreciated your presence on the sidelines. It always managed to feel like we're a small market. Let's face it, we're in the middle of the Midwest. Now, Clark Hunt, Andy Reid, you know, these guys have turned Brett Veach. They have turned this into a big, massive market, right? But when you guys would come down on the sidelines and bring other fans and unite, we felt like Los Angeles or New York. It just had that feel.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that first of all, the team was doing so well, and at the same time, you got these guys, gals from Kansas City who are also blossoming in their showbiz careers. So it was a nice intersect. So I'm sure most people know, but you know, Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis, Rob Riggle, myself, Eric Stonestreet were the hosts of the Big Slick. And it was very nice that all this thing intersected and we're all able to kind of come together, bring our media attention to the Chiefs as well. And you've got all these guys that are very well known and they're there on the Chiefs sideline. It's very cool. And then, you know, there's a different vibe because it didn't feel like celebrities coming to show themselves on the sideline. It was more like fans that happen to be in show business and can't believe they get to come to the sideline. I know that's how I felt.
That's how you are portrayed, and that's how you treat those fans coming in. You're talking, you're doing. It's not an opportunity to wave at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
You are ushering, you're telling these stories, and you are making Chiefs Kingdom what it is, the surrounding states, and really the country now. I mean, we're traveling like the Dallas Cowboys. We're traveling like the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are overloading stadiums 60-40, especially in cities like Vegas. And I just remember, even when we weren't doing good, you guys were doing all that good. You were fulfilling these dreams of people that have either watched you grow up in Tipton or always poured love on Kansas City, whether we were 4-12 or we're 15-3 and ever 14-3 like we were this year. I think that's my favorite part about what you guys do, is you guys have always been involved. The last 15 years haven't all been great, and you guys have been there for all of it, and especially you, which is so much fun.
I got engaged to my now ex-wife, and went to the Chiefs Bills game that day.
Nice.
So it's been a part of my life for a very big events all the way through. But yeah, it's interesting. And then, like you were saying earlier, it's so ingrained into the Kansas City culture. Like that's our team. That doesn't go away. It isn't fair weather. It's just it's our team, good or bad. We're going to be here. And yeah, it doesn't like that. The enthusiasm in the parking lot and in the stands doesn't waver.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part, this has taken me to another a great quality that you have is Big Slick happens every year, right? Rain or shine. We did have a pandemic where it looked a little bit different, but you guys managed to whatever you had in your schedule. You made it a point to come and raise a lot of money, put on a lot of smiles on a lot of folks' faces, and change the dynamic that what Children's Mercy could provide from people not just coming from the metro, but from really all over the country into our great community. You managed to do that. And what I want to, you have been so busy through the pandemic, through these last 8 months, even especially, you have been, tell us about what you're doing now, because not only do you support Kansas City in Los Angeles, in the stadiums that we're playing on Monday, Thursdays, Sundays, but you take that all the way when you're making people smile on your stand-up acts.
Yeah, I'm for it. I love shows. I do. I love all of it. And, sometimes you tour more than others. And this year I'm touring a ton. And I'll just tell you, I was just in Kansas City at the end of the year. Where am I going next? So I'm going to be in Atlanta in February 17, 18, at the Comedy Underground Theater. I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky, the 19th. Then I'm going to go to San Diego, then Batavia, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, Dayton, Ohio, Milwaukee, and then Point. So that's just through March. So I'm going to hit a lot of different places. And you had this thing earlier. It's so much fun to be walking through an airport or whatever. You see some of the Chiefs emblem, you'd immediately think, "Oh, that's a friend of mine." Regardless.
Exactly. Let's get a beer if they have Boulevard there, right? I mean, but that's how it feels. And it's not like a handshake, it's a hug. Yeah. And it's a like, "Hey, have you made it to any games today?" And I think that's so special. And I think that no matter how, and Hollywood is different like this. I don't know many people that if they have a flight canceled or something comes up in their schedule that they're going to drive to a show. I know you do that. I know Paul Rudd. I know Jason. I got to spend a little bit of time with him over in London. He's working on this massive project. Don't know if you heard of it, Ted Lasso. And these guys are, yeah, and you guys are remarkable people. Wriggle, just the Stone Street, the time that you spend face to face with people to make them feel special and heard is unheard of in your business. And so I appreciate when stuff gets canceled, you go, "I'm driving there anyway because I have smiles to make." That's sweet.
Yeah, you got to get there. It's interesting you said all those things, and I don't think it occurs, any other thought occurs to you. Like you're just saying and like this as parents, we know, what do people need to be? They need to be seen and heard. That's what our kids need. But we don't lose that as adults. We need to be seen and heard. And then you mentioning that, and that's probably a common thing that you see with, all the guys that come back to do the Big Slick and the people that we invite, that we see that everybody's important. It's not about me. It's about us. And if we have this opportunity for whatever reason to raise awareness in a different way, well, then of course you're going to do it. I guess there's a bit of a selflessness. And you're always asked the question, what about your Midwest values? And that doesn't come to the front of my mind because you're already living them. You don't have to rethink your values, or the values are the way I act. And I think that's what you're talking about, what we see with like Kansas City and Big Slick and all those things, that common purpose, I guess, about humanity. Wow, that was preachy.
Well, it's true. Well, it's true. And we've seen you guys do it. It's not something that you have to say, "I try to do this when I can." I see you do it every time, whether that's with all of your brood, with your 5 kids, whether that's a sick kid where you're like, I don't know if I really want to like go in there or whatever, or the hospital says like, just be really careful with what you talk about. Look, we understand they're having a bad day, and whether I'm having a bad day or you're having a bad day, you make them have the best day. And
Yeah.
you can't put a price tag on that. You wouldn't do it for money. You do it because I got to be on right now. I want to be on, right? We want to be on for that person. So it changes their trajectory. Maybe we're the only positive thing that happened to them in their day. I tell my kids that every day. When you go to school, they might have had a bad time at home. They might have forgot a shoe. We're lucky to have all of our shoes on, all 5 kids, when we were, in the trenches with the young kids. But this kid that you're going to come in contact with in math class or social studies or whatever it is, you might be their only positive interaction today. Let's make it a good one. That's how you live your life, and it's fun. I love that.
Yeah, I think, as you're saying that, what I'm reflecting on is the idea like, well, what's the right thing to do? And that's what you just train I guess you make that your habit. Do what's the right thing to do? Do that right now.
I saw.
You don't go, what are my options?
Right.
You don't weigh it. Well, what can I get away with? Or just what's the right thing to do?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to your roots, Tipton, with growing up 6. It's definitely something that you grew up with, no better. And I remember having our tacky Christmas sweater party every year, and you've been to one, at least been in my basement. And I remember people would come up to you, and I have a really good story about Paul Rudd in my basement, but to stay with you right now, since you're blessing us on the Super Bowl edition of Red Friday for KC Sports Network, I remember you get pulled in all different directions, and whether you like to admit it, you're working, even if you're in my basement, and we get time to catch up, whether it's a Tank 7 or whatever it is. And what I love is that when you get pulled away from somebody and that person goes, oh, I didn't get a picture, or I didn't get to finish my favorite story about Champ Kind or David Koechner, any of the work that he's done, or I saw him, in Cincinnati or wherever he was on the road, and you will come back to that person, not asked to come back, but you come back and you can get right back in that moment with that person, and that person you leave then, and that person comes to me and goes, I can't believe he came back and remembered where we were. That's unbelievable.
I guess it goes back to, you don't think about it. You just think it's the right thing to do. Like you said, to be seen and heard.
Yep. And if you're great on that,
and you'll also receive it. I guess that's the point, isn't it?
I love how you always lift up the room. I know that there was always more people in my basement off Chadwick Street when you were there, or Stoney was there, or when Paul was there. So I appreciate that. You guys always made them feel not only a part of just the big overall picture of what we're doing in Kansas City, but just have a part of that. It's not, hey, look at me. It's, hey, you're one of us. And so that was sweet. What else do you have in the books? I'm interested to hear what the rest of your February looks. Are you going to go to the game? I know you're I want to watch it with all the kids. Are you going to go to Phoenix?
I can't. I have an appointment out of town, so I can't go to the game. I was lucky enough I've been to a bunch of different Super Bowls over the years, and it's fantastic. But, you've got to take care of the businesses in front of you. So I have some things I can't get to the game. But what was I going to say to you? Oh, what I've got going like that. I'm touring all of February and a lot of the year. So go to David Koechner. Just thank you for the opportunity. Go to davidkoechner.com or follow me on Instagram, DavidKoechner, and all my tour dates are on there. I continue to recur on the Goldbergs. So I'll be on the Goldbergs. I'm doing a couple more this month, I think. There's a couple small independent films coming out later this year. I don't have the dates yet, so I can't really, whatever. One's called Ganymede, which is going to be a powerful, dark, twisted little coming-of-age story that's going to hit the festival circuit in June-ish, I think. We got the Big Slick coming up in June. We've got Kansas City hosting the draft. That's awesome. So yeah, and then I've got another little film I'm supposed to do. It's interesting. You fill your year up, and then more opportunities come, which is always fun. So I've got a lot of the touring, a lot of television, and a couple of film things that are happening. So, like that. I love show business, and it's just, I love that I get to do the thing that I want to do. Just like you got to play in the NFL. That's what you wanted. And when it happens, you're just happy to breathe, right?
Absolutely. You can't say that any better. And I think that, like, when you elevate everybody in the room that you're working, you're going to get more opportunities to do that and make people feel better about not only their circumstances in life, but like, hey, this is an opportunity to laugh and have a good time with a genuine person that has really made Kansas City a better place to live in. And just the experience, the game day experience at Arrowhead. I wish you all the best in 2023. I know our paths are going to cross multiple times. I've got to get to a show. If you haven't made it up in the Northland or wherever he's going to be this year, ladies and gentlemen, please go see David Koechner. And what a kind person Champ Kind is. I love it.
I just want to say to you, you and I got on the phone yesterday, and it's been a minute, right? Since you and I had seen each other or talked. But it was like not a second passed. It was funny. It was almost like we spoke yesterday. And you and I just start talking. That's what I like. I really like that, that you and I are like, oh, hey, anyway, like, where was I? Where did I leave off, 9 months ago talking to you? And then you just pick it right up. I love it. I love protected in this really unique way, and that we got so much in common. And, who knows who you're going to meet in life? And I love the thing about, like, I'm from Tipton, Missouri. And one day I'm going to be on the Chiefs sideline, and I'm going to be in Dustin Colquitt's basement. What? Who plays for the Chiefs? I love it happen in life. Full opportunity.
I feel the same. So I feel the same with that. It's exciting you said that, because I have to ask this. Does anybody else take pictures of themselves and Chiefs players in front of a Tipton, Missouri sign and send them to your phone? Because I do that to you. I know at first you're all like, what is going on? But, like, I have David Koechner in my phone, and he's a great dude. I remember sending that, and I would selfishly send that to my friends, and they were like, wait, how do you know him? And I was like, no, listen, he has 5 kids. I have 5. Like, we have more in common than probably any of them together. And he's so much fun. And just like, we'll go on a couple guys trips a year, whether it's like, don't tell anybody, snowboarding, and we'll do like a summer trip, and I'll get with 3 or 4 guys that, like, I really like to just, we do a little bit of life together. And when me and you talk, I see them 10 times more a year, but me and you are right back in what's going on. I love how we catch up with the business. We know what we have going on in personal lives. I know what you're working with, and I see in the smiles from a mile around. So I appreciate what you're doing on the road for you, for your family, for Kansas City, for Charlie Hustle, for Chiefs Kingdom especially, and we're lucky to be back in this game. The Kelsey Bowl, what do you like? Champ Kind, what is Champ Kind like going forward?
Hey, guys, my boys are heading out. Hey, guys, I'm doing the podcast.
No, this is a family podcast. We're keeping this. How's it going?
Imagine Charlie.
Oh my gosh, you guys are getting huge.
Yeah, what's up?
You guys good?
Yeah.
Hey, we're all about family on this podcast. This is called Hang Time, and this is part of it. They need to know when you have fun.
Yeah, hang time. That's the most I'll see these guys all day. I hope. All right, good day. Hey, gang, Champ here, talking about the Kelsey Bowl. Well, they're not going to go head to head. They grew up going bottom to bottom. But this reporter's got it. I shall win for the Chiefs. They're going to hit a couple home runs right through the goalpost, get it right there in the net.
Whammy. Whammy. I love it. I love that. I love what you do. Thank you for spending so much time with all of our viewers. I know you're super busy. I think you got something coming up, Pacific time right here. Thanks for putting us on your calendar. We will be in touch because we got to have you back. Appreciate you spending on Super Bowl Red Friday edition of Hang Time with Colquitt and Koechner.
I'll give Colquitt. Here's my impression. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dustin. That was great, man. I am really looking forward to that segment moving forward. KCSN, you're going to really enjoy Hang Time with Dustin Colquitt. Okay, Big Jeff. All the stuff, hay is in the barn. Let's talk about the game, man. What is your key to the game on offense? If Kansas City's going to get it done, what does the offense need to do?
No surprise here. It's going to start up front, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the trenches, we know how that goes.
Right.
Philly has a hell of a front four. I mean, those guys can get after the quarterback. I think they're right behind the Chiefs in pass rush rate, and as far as creating pressures. Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Dominic and Sue.
Right.
I mean, the list goes on. I mean, I'm missing a few people. I know I am. I keep forgetting. But this group is phenomenal. So our guys are going to have to put on their big boy pads, and I know they are. I mean, we have one of the best units in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's going to be a challenge. But it's going to be a challenge for Philly as well, trying to get by our guys. So it's a true gladiator matchup, and we're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's key. And I think we've talked about it, 1,000 times on the show, but every coach that we've been around has talked about in these big games, it's on the big guys up front. Big guys up front set the tone. And so when I'm looking at the defense, that defensive line has got to play well. And we know they can get after the passer. I'm not worried about that. What I do see, looking at Philly on tape, is this run game seems to me, like what I've seen, to be exponentially better than what we've seen so far. And I've watched a number of the games that Kansas City plays on defense, got to break that down a little bit with Craig and DJ on our other show. I haven't seen these combination blocks up front. These things look real. Okay, these combination blocks up front, man, they are getting together, they are driving, and they aren't coming off until they have you 4 yards off the ball and getting up to the next level. If you think about what Kansas City's at, right? We know Pat Mahomes has the high ankle. He's going to be better than he was against Cincy, but he's still not going to be 100%. I think when you look at a possible game plan to slow them down, is going to be Philly on offense to run the football, win the time of possession. They know they have that. They know Kansas City has at times struggled against the run. Those big guys, listen, we know you can get after the passer. Stop that run early, right? If you stop that run early and make them one-dimensional, now you can eat all day. But the last thing you want is 5 or 6 yard of these, 11 and 12 personnel runs where they get you in soft boxes and they run these great double team combos up front that they have that B block. I don't know what you guys call it on like that.
Either a B block or a deuce block, depending on
like these moving concept. Double teams. Yeah. And they look solid, Jeff. I mean, they're really nice.
They're big dudes, man.
Yeah.
The entire group is huge.
Yeah.
But similar to Patrick, Jalen's been dealing with an injury.
Right.
With the shoulder.
Yeah.
And they haven't been running him as much as they did during the regular season just to protect that shoulder. I have a feeling that he's going to be a little bit more healthy with this being the last game with everything on the line. We're going to see a little bit more of the quarterback running the football.
Yeah.
And what's different about Jalen than most, I guess, dual threat quarterbacks in the National Football League, you got like Lamar, Justin Fields. Those guys are quick twitch, can take it 80, can make you miss. Jalen didn't really avoid contact. He's physical. Kind of similar to Josh Allen in the sense to where they'll put their shoulder down, they'll come downhill, and they'll run some power concepts with the quarterback.
That's killer.
So we have to be ready for the run. That is Philly's number one weapon on offense. They do have some guys outside, but their offense is more geared toward running the ball, and they're going to come and try to establish that. And like you said, we have to be able to stop that because if we can, I'd rather Jalen have to throw the ball than them establishing the run.
Exactly. And if you can establish a run, that opens up everything in the backhand. It makes things so much easier. It's what's really interesting too, from a defensive perspective, when you have these built-in quarterback runs, it's difficult because defensive concepts are designed thinking that the quarterback is when it comes to the run game, thinking that the quarterback is out of the equation. Right. So everything's sort of playing out thinking the quarterback isn't part of the run game. When he's part of the run game, it changes up how the backers fit, changes up how we fit up front. I mean, it's different. You just don't get that much, right? When you don't have a lot of teams running QB power. I remember way back in 2011, we were playing Tim Tebow when he was with the Broncos. Tebow couldn't throw the ball anywhere.
Yeah.
But they were running, they were just running all kinds of run schemes, and he was like a running back. I mean, that's what makes Wildcat so effective.
It's tough. You gain an extra hat. You're able to extra blocker, and it's tough on the defense.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Jeff, because I didn't realize they were heavy with that, but that isn't going to be another key. I mean, again, the technique of the offensive line in conjunction with their size, I mean, it makes for a nasty threat up front. They are no joke, and they're athletic too. Then you factor in the fact that they have these QB run schemes. I mean, you got to stop the run, make them one-dimensional.
It's going to come down to Chris Jones.
Yeah, baby.
It's going to come down to my big 95, dominating like he's been dominating this whole playoff run. Stopping the run, wrecking havoc in the pass, and being the MVP that he has been so far. Yeah. He's been the best player on the field. It's been an unbelievable run. I don't think many people's talking about it, but he's on fire right now, and I expect him to do the same. I mean, he had on the black shades today at media day.
Yeah,
those are blocking out all the haters. He's ready to go.
That was like the Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
What was it? Training day? Yeah, that's what I reminded me of. Man, we're ready to go, Big Jeff. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go you know what? Before we go, I just want to say I can't think of a better fan base that deserves this more than this fan base. I mean, Chiefs Kingdom, you all are incredible. From my time out there, from the interaction on Twitter and Facebook, you just all deserve this, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to consider this happen year in and year out. But enjoy this, Chiefs Kingdom. You are the best fan base in the world, and so I'm incredibly happy for you all. So enjoy this game. Thank you for tuning in to One on One. I don't know, Big Jeff, we coming back next week? Do we want to recap the game, or are we just we're gonna finish it here? Kneel the ball.
We definitely got to come back and talk our
all
shit
right
when we win this game.
Okay, we'll come back next week. So we will, Chiefs game. We'll see you next week. We'll be on here talking shit with the Super Bowl trophy. All right, so
I might pop a couple brewskis.
That's it. We'll have our own celebration. Chiefs Kingdom, thank you for tuning in. We love you, Big Jeff. Love you, brother. We will see you all next week.
Go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.